Hello, living leashless friends. Maybe I should introduce you to somebody else first. Surprise, we have a baby. Hello, living leashless friends. It has been a long time since you have heard from the E's. A lot has happened that I need to tell you about. We have since gotten married and had a baby since our year-long world travel trip, which is probably the last update that most of you guys have gotten from us. With that being said, I don't have near the time that I used to have to be able to write paragraphs and paragraphs and books and books and books of answers to all of you all, even though I would love to. So I'm going to start trying to compile all of our information, all of our experience, everything that we learned on how to do a travel trip on these videos, and that way I get to spend time with this guy, but still, you know, help you guys learn how to travel as well. So hopefully our little guest speaker here doesn't distract us too much, although I don't know how he feels about mommy being on camera, but we'll see. And let's get started. So the reason for this beginning of videoing again is because it is September now. This is when I start getting a huge amount of messages, emails, comments on videos of a lot of different questions. I'm not sure if it's because the summer's like wrapping up now and people are ready to start planning for their next adventures or what it is, but this is definitely the time when we start getting a lot of questions. We kind of get them all year, but this is definitely ramped up time. So being a mommy now, I don't have the time to individually reply to everyone like I used to. I used to sit, for like an hour and chat with people and write books about how we did it, you know, how much money we had saved, where we went, why we went there, you know, where we stayed, everything. But I just don't have time to do that now. So I'm really going to try to put a lot of effort into making these videos for you guys, and hopefully that'll take care of a lot of the bulk questions that we get. That are, a lot of them are about like, what did we pack? How did we live in a backpack for a year? Where did we go? Following the weather. Definitely one of the top questions that we get is, how did we fly everywhere on credit card points? You know, how do you get that many credit card points? How did we fly to Hawaii and Thailand for $41? Questions like that is what I plan to answer. So I'm going to try to kind of compile everything and do individual videos with like subjects. I think that might be the best way to do this. So then if you're looking for something specific, you don't get information about stuff that you don't want. But anyways, welcome back. I'm super happy to be back. He's super happy to be a part of this now. And hopefully we'll have some great information for you guys so you guys can take a world travel trip for a year, or maybe your first backpacking trip. Okay, so one of the first questions that we get asked, and I also think that we should probably address, is where did we go? So we literally wanted to circumnavigate the entire world. So we are from Kentucky. So we actually decided to start in Hawaii. I'll get to this later, but we each picked a couple bucket list items of places that we wanted to travel on our year-long travel trip, and Hawaii was maybe my top one. I think Nepal was my top one. Anyways, just had to do it. If we were going to have an extended period of time to travel, I just knew Hawaii had to be on that list, and I'm so glad we went, by the way. So even though that's considered the USA, Hawaii seems like a totally different country because it has everything that you're looking for whenever you want to go visit another country. It has different cultures, different foods, of course, beautiful scenery, and the people there are amazing and also have a history that is very rich and different than the continental US history. So we started. I have no idea how this is going to go because I keep having to like go find something to entertain our son and then hop back over here. So anyways, we started in Hawaii. We spent 10 days there, which backstory was I really wanted to spend at least 2 weeks there, but Eric apparently did not know how much he would love Hawaii, so we settled on 10 days because he only wanted to go a week. But once we got there, he wished we would have stayed 2 weeks as well. So we flew from Hawaii to Thailand, to Southeast Asia in general. The country we started off in was Thailand. We went from there into Cambodia, did Vietnam as well, and then from Vietnam we flew into India, spent an entire month in India, then went up to Nepal, did the Everest Base Camp and Gokyo Lake trek there. Again, I'll go into more detail on all these like in later videos, but like I said, I'm just going to try to kind of give a good overview here. So from Nepal, we flew into Africa. We started off with Ethiopia, then did Malawi, Tanzania, and Morocco. Hi! This was all before him, obviously. After Morocco, we ended up going into Spain. We also did Portugal. Now he wants down. From Morocco, we ended up going into Europe and going to Spain, Portugal, France, Switzerland, Belgium, Germany, the Czech Republic, Poland, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Sweden, Ireland, and the UK. And then from there we ended up flying back home, getting married, and taking an all-American road trip out west and hitting a lot of our favorite, well now favorite, national parks. So that was our year of travel, or a gap year if you will. We found out it's a lot less common in the United States, but it's actually fairly common in a lot of other countries for students, especially going from, I think it's high school to college or college into the workforce, for them to take a gap year and travel. I see exactly how this is going to go. So it was a lot of fun to learn about the different cultures, and also being one of the only Americans in a lot of the areas that we ended up going to. We went to a lot of rural places, I can never say that word, and some cities. We like to get off the beaten path, but there were a lot of cities that are definitely worth seeing as well, that were a lot of bucket list items. So we kind of did both, but in a lot of the places that we went, we were the only Americans that the locals had ever even met. So it was a lot of fun to give them a perspective of an actual American. Funny thing was, a lot of them thought that everybody was like the cast of Friends. I guess that show is absolutely like viral worldwide, so a lot of them thought that that's kind of how we all live. It's bedtime. Okay, so I just laid my little man down for a nap so I can get through the rest of these questions and we don't have to, you know, have our little guest speaker keep showing up in here. So, why did we choose the countries that we did? So we had several reasons and literally thousands of hours worth of research deciding on where to go and what to do. Eric and I had a whole year of just really intense planning where we traded all of our spare time and implemented lots of different techniques into studying and researching about long-term travel. Me especially, where I'm from, it's a very rural area. There's that word again. It's a very small town where I'm from, so most people never travel outside of the state of Kentucky, and my knowledge of the world in general and how to travel it was very small. So I had to do extra research, even unfortunately geographically. I didn't know where some places even were. So hopefully that's motivating, if nothing else, to you guys, that basically anybody can do this if I can. Our reasons for choosing places were, we created a bucket list item, 3 countries each or places each that we wanted to go to, and then we made sure that we went to those. Another really important thing was budget. We had a budget that we had set aside, $15,000 each, although obviously we were spending it together. because even though we weren't married then, we still acted like my money was your money kind of thing, which is just our preference. Of course, everybody's different. Weather was big, so we wanted to kind of follow summer. Now, there are several exceptions to that rule, but we wanted to make sure we had good weather. Like, for example, in Thailand, we didn't want to be there during monsoon season because we're very outdoorsy people, and we wanted to have the availability to walk, hike, rock climb, things that we love to do outside, that weather would not allow that to happen. Also, following the weather, it was less to pack. We did go, like I said, to Everest Base Camp in Nepal, so that's obviously very cold. But we just rented clothes and bought some there while we were there, and most of the time we just packed for summer. Our daily outfit was like shorts and a tank top. So another thing to consider with weather is if you follow the good weather around the world, you also have less delays, which doesn't matter as much whenever you're kind of like long-term traveling. But anytime you get stuck anywhere that you don't necessarily want to be, like in an airport for an additional 10 hours or whatever, that kind of, you know, just kind of is a downer. So we wanted to avoid that as much as possible. By the way, we will do another video on how we have priority pass lounge access for free all around the world, which was amazing. So stay tuned for that. So another point to consider when we were picking our countries was what was backpacker friendly. So again, this isn't anything that we were like, we can't go here because, you know, it's not backpacker friendly. But we did mostly want to stick to places where we felt safe. They were maybe a little bit on the cheaper end of the spectrum. The US dollar, you know, was a lot stronger, so the currency was in our favor. You know, like in Thailand, for example, we could get a whole meal for $1 US because the US dollar was so much stronger in Thailand and things like that. We wanted to do touristy and also not touristy, which I kind of said before. So we just kind of like did the shotgun effect. Like we just kind of like looked into everything and then kind of was like, okay, so here's an outline of what we want to do and kind of where we want to go. We had large regions and countries we knew we were going to go to, but we really wanted to leave it open because that was one of the greatest parts about the year-long travel, is that there wasn't a set schedule. We had a very general idea of what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go, especially in each country. And then we just kind of left it to where we could talk to other travelers and other backpackers about where they suggested. And I am so happy we did that, because take Cambodia, for example. When we went to Cambodia, we for sure wanted to go to Angkor Wat. Well, in our research, I had found an island. It was called Koh Rong Semleom, I think is how you pronounce that. I'm not really sure. But it was a really remote island, no hotels, no Wi-Fi on the whole island, and we stayed in a tent on one of the most beautiful islands that we've ever been to, and it was just absolutely incredible. And we would have never ever found that if we had a strict schedule that we were going to follow. So I'm really thankful that we kind of, which Eric and I are very like that, like we are spontaneous but also a little bit structured. I don't know. It was a good mix for us. Of course, everybody's different, so if you want things more planned out, you know, I might suggest give yourself a little bit of playtime just in case. I have everything written on a board behind so I don't mess anything up because, you know, mom brain. One of the biggest factors for me for where we were choosing was places that we may not want to or be able to go to with children. So Eric and I both wanted children, at least 2. We're talking about 4 now, so we'll see about that. But some places that are either extremely hard to get to, like Everest Base Camp, or maybe a safari in Africa, that would be harder to get to with children, we wanted to go ahead and check those off our bucket list. And some places that maybe we wouldn't feel comfortable bringing young children to, you know, we wanted to go ahead and experience that as two young adults. So that was really important. There are places that we would have felt totally safe going and we would love to go, like New Zealand, for example, but again, that goes back to our budget. So that's one that we're going to try to go to, hopefully before we have another baby. I don't know, we'll have to see. Travel's one of those things that we're still traveling with our son, but it definitely morphs into something a little bit different. So if you guys are interested, I could even do some like traveling with baby videos as well. I know this is kind of like traveling with diabetes, but you know, traveling with a baby is almost as difficult as traveling with diabetes. So we can definitely throw in a lot of tips there, because even though he is only 8 months old, he's already been to 2 different countries in Europe. And we've taken him several places. We have not let it hinder. We're getting ready to go on an Alaskan cruise, and he's gonna go ice climbing with us in a couple months. So it has not hindered us. It just takes some extra steps and extra planning, just like diabetes. So if you guys liked this video, if anybody's even still around, let me know, comment down below. I really will try to like reply to everyone. Just know I at least read all of them. Mom life, you know, it's a huge learning curve for me and Eric. It used to be both of us that did these videos, and it's just too hard after Eric gets home from work for us to sit down with a camera and our son, you know, and have dinner and all these things to put these together. So I'm gonna try to fly solo since I'm a work from home mommy now. And just let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's any other questions that you all have that maybe I haven't mentioned in these videos. Put them down below and I would be happy to answer them. This is definitely the way that I'm going to start answering everyone's travel questions. So welcome back. It's good to have you all. You say hi? You gonna wave to the camera? Hi! Isn't that the sweetest thing ever? Say bye-bye!